Hello, it's Cryptolyze. I hope you are well this Sunday, January 7, 2024. We're meeting today for a first show, which will be a first podcast in which I want to offer you something new. A little different, so don't hesitate to give me your feedback. The goal of today will be to do a podcast to discuss the ideal investment for 2024, and it will be based mainly on the notion of resolution. That's when we start a year. This is always the question we ask ourselves. What are my goals for 2024? What are my good resolutions? And I think it's really important to put your foot down and tell yourself that 99 of the resolutions that you're going to make, you're not going to keep them. And to me, that's truly the worst thing you can do to yourself. Because the best investment for 2024 is yourself. That's for sure. And we're going to go further. Because it is important when we start a new year to look back on the year that took place, the mistakes we made, the positive points, to be able to plan precisely for the year 2024. And this is the moment when we will define objectives. And that's where it poses a problem for me, which is that defining objectives is good, but I think that it is above all very important to define small things that we want to change rather than big things. And it's a bit like the first step towards pulling out your fingers. Because for me, it's really important to define a set of actions to be able to improve your life, and not to say that at the end of 2024, you have a goal, a big goal, and you don't know how to do it. The goal is to break everything down into small actions and interact directly. The goal is to do things. Really doing things is not saying something. It is not projecting oneself. It is not idealizing a self of tomorrow or a self who will do things for us. No, you just have to roll up your sleeves and start doing things today and continue doing them tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and so on. Improving every day means doing well. And it means continuing to repeat what you do in order to improve. It's hard, it hurts, and you have to work. No matter what you do, whether it is to improve your physical condition, whether it is to improve your knowledge in a field, whether it is to perfect your investments and prepare for the bull run. 2024, you must start by doing actions today. It doesn't matter what it is, and in all cases, it will be actions that will be complicated at the beginning to do because it is a change of habit, and any change of habit is difficult. We are creatures of habit, and precisely we must break the current habit to start a new habit, and it is through replacement that we will be able to change. The first action you can do in this change would be, for example, to download the investment guide, which is available in comments and descriptions. 100 free on purchase prices, sales prices, how to position yourself well in relation to the bull run. It's free in comments and descriptions. But you have to understand that when you want to change, it's going to take energy. It's going to take time. It's even going to take pain. Because breaking habits, as I told you, is the most complicated thing. And that's where it's interesting because precisely, we tend to venerate everyone who succeeds. But no one really values the work behind it. There is no easy success for me. It is a notion of incessant work. Exceeding 110 hours per week is not for everyone. It hurts. And that for years and years, getting up at 5 o'clock every morning, whatever happens, whether you're sick, not sick, 42. Fever, continuing to work and directing yourself, achieving your goals, and reinforcing the actions we carry out little by little is difficult. And no one wants that. Nobody says to themselves, oh, well, that's great. The guy gets up at 5 in the morning. He works 110 a week. I want to do what he does. It's something that doesn't come. On the other hand, we say to ourselves, well, in fact, he got there, but I want to be in this guy's place. But are you capable of doing what he did to become what he became? And that is very important. Ask yourself these questions. And above all, stop asking yourself too many questions. Take action quickly. And even just on small actions. Remember that to change things, each time it's small things that will accumulate with each other until the moment when you feel ready to be able to move forward much more quickly. And at this point, the recipe is relatively simple. It's taking risks, putting yourself in danger, daring, working, failing, getting back up, taking risks, working again and again, and repeating this loop indefinitely. In fact, there is no solution, truly a miracle. For me, success is simple. And yet at the same time, it's difficult. It's simple to understand, but difficult to execute, because it requires taking action, because it requires remaining constant. It requires continuing no matter what happens. It requires continuing regardless of whether you see the results of your actions or not. And that's what's important. It's from the moment you're going to be focused on the task you're going to carry out. That's what will actually allow you to last in the long term. Because you will be happy to do what you do every day, and you will say to yourself, okay, well that's good. I lasted one more day, I did one more day. Well, I've gotten better at what I do. And the more you do, the more you improve, the more you will be happy with yourself. And in fact, without realizing it, a year, 2 years will pass, and you will look up and say, well, I'm already here actually. It's not that complicated, it wasn't that hard. Whereas yes, it's hard, it's just that you don't realize it because, precisely, you have acquired the habits necessary to be able to grow, to be able to evolve. And once again, there is no miracle solution. Many people define themselves as self-made men, but in fact it's only the successful ones. But the difference between those who are unsuccessful and those who are successful, both are self-made men. It's just that there are some who have failed, others who have succeeded. Some have aimed at the goal and lacked the things necessary to be able to get to the goal, and the others have focused only on the things necessary to get to their goal. And then you say to yourself, yes, well, it's easy to say that, okay, it's easy. Once again, I never said it was complicated. I tell you it's simple to understand, to execute. It's complicated, nothing. Nothing stops you from changing. Nothing stops you from evolving, from learning to dare. There will always be excuses. There will always be a better time, or in any case, it will never be the right time. But that's actually the difficulty. This is the first step, the first thing. And the second difficulty is to maintain these things continually, and understand that in any case, there will never be a good time. I'll give you a concrete example that I experienced last year in January 2023. It was a friend who came to see me telling me that he wanted to get his life back in hand. In this case, it was not just his life, but he wanted to take control of his body, change jobs, his job. He has a rather good situation, but he doesn't like it because he is bored. He finds that he has no added value. He has a child, a wife. Overall, he is happy in what he does, but not in his work. He really wants more. In fact, he wants to stand out. He wants to change this part. And I particularly miss training him on blockchain and crypto, to perhaps consider a reconversion. But imagine that it began under my impulse to be able to make this change. And the problem is that it didn't last long term. That is to say that after the first 2 weeks, he ran out of steam by not seeing any evolution. Because you understand very well, for those who like this transformation, that for a certain time you learn a lot of things that you don't necessarily understand until something clicks. And you have to go until the moment when you have that trigger. And he did not hold on to that, and in fact he refrained from continuing. And what's interesting is that this year he came back to me saying the same thing, saying, I want to change. I want to change. Can we take back the blockchain and others? And I'll tell you what I answered him this year. That it was not up to me to motivate him. That if he wanted to change, he just had to change. Everything was available. And that change starts by changing one's own habits. Change the elements that define what we want to change about ourselves. It's really important. It's from the moment we have a particular wrinkle, a particular bias that we want to change, we must determine what actions determine this bias and break away from it. And in particular, the fact of creating a form of rigor in relation to the work that we carry out is essential in relation to that. And I don't think that by making the same mistakes again, that will change. And I explained to him that he needed to learn that it won't work if he does the same things again, and that he already had everything at his disposal. All he had to do was act, and act. Again, every day of the week. And that's where it's important, and that's where he's going to be able to really gain in evolution. And it's the same for you. It's simple and complicated at the same time, as I told you. It's simple to understand, difficult to apply, difficult to maintain in the long term. It is the rigor of your work that will determine your success and the speed at which you succeed. Once again, the notion of speed is very relative. You don't even have to ask yourself the question of when you want to succeed. The important thing is really to focus on the steps that will lead you to this success. And that's where you will stay in the long term, because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And for everyone who thinks it's luck, because a lot of people will say this at the end, you were at the right time, you held the right thing, it was luck. It was like that. For me, luck remains just a fantasy of a gambler addicted to the casino. You have to question yourself. You have to improve what you do, improve yourself. And for me, that's why it's the best investment you can make in 2024. Invest in yourself, believe in yourself, and start changing your habits to improve yourself and prepare for the following years. Don't look at your life in a form of fantasy. Take action with small actions. Stick to your long term, and that's where it will change everything. I hope you like this type of video. If so, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment. Tell me if you like this type of podcast. If so, I'll do several per month, or maybe at least one per month, or maybe more. So tell me everything in the comments, and we'll see you soon for a new video.